Welcome to March, folks, a month that promises to be huge for video games with a new console and a few big titles as well. My name is Globku and these are the upcoming video games of March 2017. The month starts with the release of the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo's new console lets you seamlessly transition from playing on your TV into picking up the console and playing it as a handheld device. The first week of March is reserved for the Switch launch lineup, which stars The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. A huge departure from the Zelda series by opening up a huge world and doing very little to guide the player. Introducing several survival mechanics and a ton of game systems that synergize with each other, there's a reason why this is one of the most anticipated games of the year. 1-2 Switch is the perfect showcase for the new Joy-Con controllers that come packed in with the Switch, a collection of 28 mini-games that will appeal to even non-gamers. Just don't take your Switch into the club, because no one will be able to hear those games and you need the sound to play most of them. Snipper clips cut it out together was the big surprise for me when I got to play the Switch. A very original cooperative puzzle game where you must cut your partner into different shapes in order to solve different puzzles. Granted, if you don't have someone to play this locally with, it might not be as much fun, but I personally can't wait to play the full thing because I really enjoyed my time with it. On the other hand, Super Bomberman R seems like a really bad game, and it's full price on top of that. Single-player Bomberman always felt pointless, and this is no exception, and all the animation work, the controls, it all felt very floaty. We might check the game again when it comes out, but I'm not optimistic. And those are the Switch exclusives, but there are plenty of other games available on other platforms that will be coming to the Switch, like Just Dance 2017, a Ubisoft dancing game. World of Goo, oh my god, World of Goo. It's been a while since I heard this name, and I believe that from the same people came both Little Inferno, a game about lighting stuff on fire, and Human Resource Machine, all coming to the Nintendo Switch as well. If you're more of a JRPG fan, I Am Setsuna is also coming to Nintendo's platform. Skylanders Imaginators, which recently came out, is also coming to the Switch. And finally, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus closes Nintendo's launch lineup for the Switch. The following Tuesday, Platinum Games puts out Nier Automata. Classic Platinum hack-and-slash combat in a futuristic setting with a very Japanese story with giant robots and androids. The story of Nier Automata is not directly connected to the previous games, so you can jump straight into this, but it does take place in the same universe, so if players want to draw comparisons, they're free to do so. And just like the more recent games that Platinum has put out, it's got a pretty robust RPG system with experience levels, gear, and stuff like that. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands is coming out on the same day. I'm sorry if I sound a little negative about this one, but it just looks like the most generic open world thing Ubisoft could have made. It's meant to be a tactical shooter that gives players the option to tackle each mission as they see fit, but it's very multiplayer oriented, so good luck getting a group of randoms to coordinate. And if you've got friends to play, I can think of better ways to spend your time. Sorry, but this is not for me. I talked about LEGO Worlds last month as if LEGO finally decided to make a Minecraft clone, which totally makes sense to me. The game was delayed till March, but remains with an unannounced release date for the Switch. Loot Rascals is a game about traveling across the procedural world, beating up monsters in order to gain the cards they drop. You then rearrange those cards to customize your skills so you can beat up more monsters. A simple game with a neat art style that's looking to scratch our rogue itch. Mario Sports Superstars is another Mario Sports title that features a few sports games. This time it's soccer, baseball, tennis, golf, and horse racing, all sports that were already playable in other Mario Sports games. Up to 6 players can participate in any game. Next week we've got Star Trek Bridge Crew, the VR title that will force you to cooperate with other players to pilot a starship. Your mission is to explore a largely uncharted sector of space in hopes of locating a new home for the decimated Vulcan people. The Klingon Empire is also active in the region, and they're sure to cause you trouble. Styx Shards of Darkness should be very familiar to those who played Master of Shadows. It's a third-person stealth game set in the fictional world of the Of Orcs and Men series. This entry brings new gameplay mechanics with crafting and new abilities for Styx, and even the option to play the game with a friend cooperatively. If it's anything like the first game, it's a very harsh stealth game where open combat is barely a viable option. Jump forward another week and bam! Mass Effect Andromeda! Haha, fuck you, March. The developers are making some pretty big promises about Andromeda. Its smallest zone is bigger than all of Dragon Age Inquisition. The squad made with the least amount of voice lines still has more voice lines than Shepard in Mass Effect 3. Those are some pretty big words, but from what we've seen, the gameplay looks a lot more fluid than the previous Mass Effect games, and the story seems interesting as well. A more self-contained story that's not about saving the universe again, so it's definitely got me interested. God, so many games to play. Oh look, another one. Troll and I follows a young boy who forms a bond with a giant troll. which is being pursued by a merciless hunter. It's set in post-World War II Scandinavia, you know, when trolls were not extinct, and it seems to be very story-driven. Gameplay-wise, the troll is capable of delivering powerful attacks whilst the young boy relies on lighter, more nimble attacks. There's some puzzle solving that will utilize both characters as well, and you'll be able to play the game in local split-screen multiplayer. Oh wow, split-screen still exists. I thought it went extinct, like the trolls after World War II. With all of this, there's no way in hell I'm gonna be able to play Tokiden 2, which Rurikhan wanted me to. Then again, I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan, and that's kind of what this game is. That said, Monster Hunter could use some good competition, because it seems they're starting not to care about the games they put out. They add little sprinkles on top of the previous game, and they sell it each year. And the first Tokiden was well received, and guess what? You can play it on all these platforms where there's no Monster Hunter. And before we move on to the final week of March, we've got Rock Band VR, which is probably not for me. I've played a ton of rhythm games by myself, and these are usually a lot more fun to play as a group, with friends. Strapping on a VR system onto my head and playing Rock Bands is not exactly an idea that entices me, but hey, it could be a cool experience. Onward to the final week of March, when Sony puts out their yearly signature baseball game, MLB The Show 17. Honestly, I don't know what's new. And if you do, then you probably already knew you were gonna buy this, so moving on. Strafe takes inspiration from the classic first-person shooters Doom and Quake, with its fast pace and pixel violence. It breaks apart from the classics by adding procedural generation to their levels, enemies, upgrades, and merchants. It will even have Oculus Rift support if you want to feel like a pixel yourself and get pixel blood smeared all over your face. Vikings Wolves of Midgard is kind of like a Diablo that mixes fantasy with Norse mythology. An isometric RPG with tons of loot and abilities that you can play by yourself or with a friend via online co-op. Old-time hockey is, well, the title says it all, doesn't it? It's an old school arcade style hockey game, almost like a throwback to the Mega Drive or Super Nintendo style of NHL games back in the 90s. The game will have a story mode and a beer mode, where the player only uses one hand to control the game. Glad to see the devs know us so well. And the last new game to come out in March is Has Been Heroes, a roguelike where you choose your heroes, head into battle, find some random items and spells to boost your heroes and keep killing monsters. It's like every roguelike has the same description, isn't it? For now, it's the only game to come out for the Nintendo Switch in March after its initial launch. And with that, let's move on to the re-releases, remasters, and DLC, all that good stuff. First up, we've got Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 coming to PC and Xbox One, making it playable in pretty much every platform now. Danganronpa 1-2 Reload combines the first and second Danganronpa games and brings them to the PlayStation 4. This is the Police, the adventure game / management sim, is coming to consoles. Dreamfall Chapters, the long journey, packs all of its episodes and releases them in a single package. On March 28th, the PlayStation 4 gets a ton of remasters, starting with Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 Remix, as well as Parappa the Rappa Remastered. And what better way to close the month than with some Dark Souls 3 DLC? The Ringed City gives you all the stuff you've come to expect from a Souls DLC, a new region, new enemies, new character, new armor, weapons, and magic. It's the last piece of DLC for Dark Souls 3, so let's praise the sun for one last time. And that's March. Let me know what you'll be playing this month in the comments below. I'm gonna try to find a time machine, because I don't know how else I'm gonna play all of this. Well, I did my part, now it's your turn. I made this video, you click the like button. It's not even fair. I gotta do all of this, and all you gotta do is click the like button. Jeez, where do I get your job? Well, thanks for watching, folks. Bye. Next time on Upcoming, a new end screen for Vegeta's.